Hey everybody, once again I did that thing where I recorded the video and didn't have any sound, which sucked. So I was 20 minutes in and realized that this little cord right here was unplugged. So here we go again. Sorry there were no videos throughout the week. I had friends that were in town from Saturday to Thursday, and we were doing a lot of shit, so I didn't have time to make videos. I apologize about that, but I'm back, and we're gonna go through this whole fucking week, so bear with me. There's a lot of cool things to discuss and talk about. I know this because I did it once already, so let's get into it again. The two major things, and two major things. Kanye did 2 one-hour interviews with 2 different radio stations in Chicago. 92, Power 92 in Chicago, and 107.5. And both interviews were this very thoughtful, at ease, intelligent Kanye. That's a far cry from the Kanye that we saw on TMZ. And he even addresses that in the 107.5 interview. He talks about the fact that he talks a lot about mental health in that one. And he says that the TMZ interview, everybody got to, and he talked about it in Kimmel too, everybody got to see him in this ramped up state, this mania that's part of being bipolar. And he said he wasn't using it as an excuse, but that he's using it as an example of mental health. That the things that you say in that state are typically things that you still feel, but how you express them, how you say them, how you engage with the people that you're interacting with isn't how you would typically go about it. But because you're in this ramped up state, that's the only way you can go about it. So he apologized a lot, and I thought very eloquently for what he said about slavery, and explained it in far more detail. But I think having that perspective of his mental state and mental health, and it adds a lot to what we saw. And even just that day the TMZ thing happened, we got the Charlemagne interview, and being able to compare Kanye in the Charlemagne interview when he is in his healthiest state to Kanye in the TMZ experience when he is at his least healthy. You can see that difference in just somebody that is in a good place versus somebody that's going through something. And these interviews are him in that better place. And it seems that, you know, since he first had that initial hospitalization in 2016, he had been trying to make changes in his life to live in a healthier way that wasn't keeping him in such a ramped up state so often, especially not to the point where he then breaks down the way that he did in 2016. But it's still a long process, and he's still understanding what he needs. And it seems like, you know, a lot of 2017, he was getting, he had some of the foundations for what he needed. But as he stepped out to make these albums and was getting stress in a different kind of way, returning to the public via Twitter, via these interviews, conversations, that he still wasn't quite sure how to take care of himself in that situation and everything else that he needed. And when you hear him talk about that in these interviews, what he needs to be his best self, what he got disconnected from, it's really empowering in a completely different way. I think so often we view Kanye as an inspirational figure for his confidence. So many of the stories that we've done, the interviews with Kanye fans, musicians inspired by Kanye, people talk about how Kanye's confidence gave them confidence, that Kanye's artistry and self-defense in the public that wants to tear him down let people know that it was okay for me to be an artist. It's okay for me to defend myself and to be proud of myself and to not give in to what everybody's saying. And also, you know, Kanye was always vulnerable on his albums, and that was something that people registered with. But Kanye being as vulnerable as he is in these interviews, crying in the middle of the 107.5 interview, I think it's a different thing, that you can be Kanye West and be as confident as Kanye West is, and yet you still see that he's somebody that doubts, gets afraid, like missteps and pushes people away and wants them back and needs people around him, that he can't just Superman the shit on his own. It's not one man against the world. And if even Kanye West, the most confident and brazen person in all the world, feels that way, I think it's okay for the rest of us to feel that way, to at once be people that have extreme confidence and be people that have extreme weakness, and that's not a contradiction. That's just how being alive is, and that's okay. And in those high points, fucking run with it. And at those low points, get the help that you need. And all of that is okay. Whew, got myself a little emotional there. So let's get into Kanye's Twitter and see if I can run through this faster than I was last time. First, he tweeted out the universal principle of design, which I know nothing about, but I should get because Kanye seems to like it. This is Jim Brown, former Cleveland Brown running back, fittingly enough, considered one of the greatest running backs in football history, often in the conversation for one of the greatest football players in NFL history. He's also a big Trump supporter and controversial public figure. So him and Kanye meeting seems appropriate. And it's also just cool for me personally, as I'm from Northeast Ohio and a big Cleveland fan. So getting to see Kanye with a Cleveland icon is, even one as controversial as Jim Brown, is heartwarming. Then Kanye on his meme game. This is Kim Kardashian digitized from the photo shoot she did for these butters. A bunch of people were photographed in bed, and Kim was in this like splayed out position, and it made for a lot of memes. So here Kanye is sharing one. He's obviously getting a kick out of it. Then he went on a few tweets about Katsuhiro Otomo, the creator of Akira. The movie is my biggest creative inspiration. Every stage show I've ever worked on, every video, not just Stronger, every product, even when I was in the hospital, I would think, oh shit, this is like Akira. This is not only the greatest animation achievement in history, the subject matter is so relevant to the current state of the world. Akira, most critics agree that it's one of the jewels of Japanese cinema, one of the greatest achievements in animation. The movie deals, if you haven't seen it, with a lot of, even if you have seen it, macro thoughts, specifically on zeitgeist and society and the politics and society, and how these larger concepts and the decisions by these larger entities boil down to the individuals and affect the lives of the individuals. It's this dystopian sci-fi that may not seem entirely relevant at first, but the more you think about it, becomes nakedly about power dynamics in this world, but just does so in a very sci-fi defamiliarized way, through the twin stories of Tetsuo and Canada and how they're both affected by what's going on. And in case people hadn't ever put two and two together about the Stronger music video and Akira, Gene Park, who runs the social media for Washington Post, is a big Kanye West fan. And he did this little photo comparison between shots from Akira and shots from the Stronger music video. So you can see Kanye was just like straight ripping from it. And from these hospital pics, you can easily imagine the joke that Kanye was making when he said, even when I was in the hospital, because the anti-hero, Tetsuo, the villain anti-hero, Tetsuo, spends a iconic portion of the movie in the hospital. So you can just imagine Kanye getting such a kick out of like, oh, I'm having my Tetsuo moment. Great. Now I'm going to go on to change the world. Halloween is the only day you're not in a costume, and getting into a little bit of the grade school philosophy. Offering a service is having a purpose. I do think there are larger takeaways from these things, especially in the context of what Kanye's been tweeting about and the simulation and all of that for the last few months. But they're just pretty funny in how simplistic they are. There's no such thing as an old living person. People from thousands of years ago perhaps are old. If you're alive, you're young, which I'm sure people could tear into that. But if you're looking at it relatively, somebody that's 60 or 70 years old is young in the scope of history. And there's something empowering about that, that like, I'm still young. I still have this energy, this vigor. I'm not old and on my way out. And I think just that little mental switch of like, I'm still young can keep you going when, if you allowed yourself to feel old, you might start to slow down in ways that you wouldn't. And that's just because of your perspective and perception of what you are. Musha is my godmom. Mukia. This is going to show how the uncultured swine that I am. I don't know what that word means, but is my godmom. I'm guessing it has something to do with the glasses. Maybe it's the style, the sub-brand. I think they're Gucci glasses. Somebody help me. This is Shay Pope, who was an executive producer on Yeezus and has been helping Kanye not just musically, but on the whole for a number of years now. If I don't lose myself, it's not me. George Condo. Not quite sure I get the nuance of that at the moment. I think I need a little bit more context. Like, is he just saying if I don't lose myself in the work, then it's not a work by me? Like, if I don't lose myself in it, then I'm just making some like superficial shit that's not good, that I don't feel I have a claim on. I'm posting this to find who designed this bag. I love the whole vibe of this piece. Been trying to reach Joe Hunter and Adam Thorpe. The funny thing is that this Curtis Robert little guy, who I just discovered this the first time I was recording this video. I was like, oh shit, like this is awesome, and followed this dude. My uni tutor, Ye is calling. What the fuck, is this real? Yes. Is it recent? I'm not on Twitter. He tweeted at 3 p.m. today. Okay, I'll join Twitter then. So I don't know if this Joe guy is the person behind it, and that's like his uni tutor. I don't know what the details are, but I want to find out, and I want to find out badly. But Tall said, all right, we need updates. Did he join Twitter? He says he has, but his profile isn't showing up. It's frustrating me that he might not see it. I could literally just pass his contact number over. Any updates? We'll see. We'll see. Then Kanye tweeted the shirt by Diet Prada. We've talked about Diet Prada on the channel before. Instagram account that tends to police the fashion world. They made this shirt, which is a pretty funny shirt. Kanye, once again, being a good sport, involving all these jokes and memes of himself and his wife. He then shared the Japanese style of wearing these shoes where the heel goes 1 to 2 centimeters off the shoe. Some people have argued that this explains Kanye wearing the slides that were too small for him, that he was attempting for this look and maybe wasn't as successful at it, as this is a hard base versus the soft base where his foot just kind of falls off. Others have just said this is him trying to save face and try to explain what was just him making a bad decision. I don't know. I feel like he probably just gave it a shot and wanted to try it, being a kid, wanting to explore with his fashion, and it didn't quite look how he had hoped. Let's make ourselves happy, which seems very fitting following that. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. Pablo Picasso, which reminds me of the earlier tweet that he had in that philosophical string about service. Where was that? Offering a service is having a purpose. This is kind of a reversal of that. It's like you find your gift and then you give that gift away, where the other one is your purpose, service. Yeah. This is a fake Warren Buffett account, which tweeted lessons from children, and the account actually got shut down after Kanye shared this, because you're not allowed to impersonate celebrities. But regardless of whether it was the actual Warren Buffett or not, I think Kanye would have been interested in what was said here, as he's been so much an advocate for that childlike mindset and returning to being like a child and breaking free from kind of what you thought you had to be or how you had to act because of what society told you. As society always kind of wants to try to bring you down to that lowest common denominator of thoughts and action. So I think regardless, he would be into that. The world is a new art school. Cool. Can't wait for these glow-in-the-dark 350s, which are pretty fucking awesome. Though they also remind me of like just toys that I would have as like a kid. But I guess the story behind this, Kim shared. She there's Felix the cat. Kim shared that she had actually told North that the Yeezys that North had were glow in the dark, so North would put them on, and then North was upset that they weren't glow in the dark, and Kanye just said like, "Oh, I'll make you glow in the dark Yeezys." So true to his word, here they are, and I fucking need them. And then Kanye tweeted these images by Kerry James Marshall, and this work, I can't praise it enough. A lot of the power comes from three elements. One is kind of the backgrounds tend to be flattened and a little hyperbolized, so they're familiar, but just a little bit strange in how he renders them, to where you don't quite feel as comfortable in the setting as you would, because it's has that little bit of alienness to what should feel more familiar than what it is. And then the people tend to be in these dynamic poses that convey an emotion just through the body language. It's not just this static stance. Like the hands on the hip pose conveys a confidence. This turn of the head and shoulder up and the side eye conveys something flirty almost, that's different than what you'd expect from just the standard portrait. How he exaggerates the facial features here. And the third thing is the eye contact. A lot of the figures have these eyes that stand out and tend to be looking directly at the viewer, which puts you in a strange interaction with the work in a way that you wouldn't with just a landscape, where you're just kind of gazing at a landscape. Here you have a figure in the work that is almost recognizing you. So there's this moment of like, oh, what does she see in me? Is he looking at me? Not so much with this one, but with these ones, there's more of the engagement. Here you can see the eyes looking right at you, eyes looking right at you, eyes looking right at you, and a fucking head in the bed. You can't see it, but this guy's holding a fucking bloody axe in his hand, or a hatchet. I want this picture so much. I want a print of it. I want to hang it right behind me. I think this is such a cool thing, because it's such a standard, I'm gushing. It's such a standard portrait, right? A figure. But the thing that usually makes portraits stand out is the style and the background, because the background is such a different choice. Like, people are people, and the person that's being shown probably isn't going to be that interesting. But where you position them and the style that you paint them as gets interesting. And having this guy in a room where he's decapitated somebody, That's absurd. I've never seen anything like this. I love it so much. I love it so, so much. So these are all, you could study this guy for years and not learn everything that you should. But yeah, I'm amazed by this work, and I'm so glad that Kanye shared it, because this isn't something that I'd ever seen before. Like, just that posture, the leaning forward, both hands grabbing the bar, this woman being on a playground when it doesn't seem like she should be on a playground, and you don't see any kids around her. Like, that's amazing. The colors, like the flatness of everything, whatever the fuck that is up there. Like, where's that come from? How's that factor in? It's just like such a normal thing. And then there's that, and I love it. All right, I'll stop talking about art, but art is so much fun. I don't know what the fuck Havas with Jason and Greg are, but I do know that's Denim Tears, who until just like an hour ago, I was thinking his name was always Denim Tears. And I was like, oh, what an interesting concept, Denim Tears. And then it just occurred to me that tears and tears are spelled the same, and that Denim Tears makes way more sense. But they're doing something with these bikes. And between the photos of the bikes, he tweeted, "This is the confidence we need." And by the way, I'm not doing this any faster than what I did the last time. But the confidence we need, and I think this is such a interesting clip. I'm going to play it real fast. So this interviewer, it's Venus Williams at 14 being interviewed by this guy. And she says, "I know I can beat her." And the guy says, "You know you can beat her." And she nods. And he says, "Very confident." "I am very confident." "You say it so easily." "Why?" "'Cause I believe it." And then this dude comes in, her dad comes in and is just like, "Shut it down." Like, she said it with so much confidence the first time, and you're like going on and on questioning her and doubting it. And, you know, maybe you have a good purpose behind it, but you questioning a 14-year-old's confidence is just not what she needs. It might be what you think is interesting to do, but it's not what's best for her. She's just being confident, and can't she just be that way? And the thing that I find so fucking fascinating about this video is that Kanye has spoken so much about the idea of the simulation and breaking free of it. The simulation being what society expects of you and wants from you and demands of you, versus what you want for yourself and what you actually can do, as society tends to want to limit people. It's like chopping the head off all the flowers that grow too tall. You try to keep everybody down below, and that's what society tends to do as a whole, is not let anybody get too big. And the moment people get too big, like celebrities, we tend to love watching them fall and flounder and break down. So Kanye talks so much about getting out of that simulation and getting back to being a kid again, which is the purpose of Ye. It's the purpose of Kids See Ghosts. This idea that you, in the first part of those albums, have been programmed to be this certain way. And by the end of those albums, you are feeling much more free, much more like you can be who you are without the negativity, without worrying about what society wants you to be and whether they allow it or don't allow it. So here you have three people in the video: Venus Williams as a kid, the interviewer, who's some 40-year-old dude, and then Venus's dad. And Venus represents what Kanye's been talking about. Like, she's just 14. She's confident. She knows her ability. She's been victorious. When she's going into this tennis match, she's not thinking like, oh, I wonder if I can beat her or not. She's just a kid with confidence. Life hasn't beat her into thinking you shouldn't be that way. Society hasn't demanded that she be less confident, that she doubt herself, that she be more torn as an individual. Not yet. That comes to everybody at a certain point in time. I mean, I was just talking about that earlier with Kanye. But the guy that's interviewing her, asking her why she's so confident and being so curious about her confidence, tends to be what society does to us. It's like you have confidence in what you're doing, what you're going to do, and there's always going to be people that are like, are you sure? Are you sure though? Do you know how hard that is? Like, why do you feel so sure about yourself? Like, you should really take a step back. Or just trying to get you to think maybe you shouldn't be confident. Like, oh, you're really confident. How did you get that way? You know, not everybody's confident. You know, a lot of people have doubts. It's great you're that confident. And that's not trying to be a dick, but it's just somebody that's shocked by confidence, which can get you thinking like, oh, why am I so confident? I shouldn't be confident. Should I be more at odds with myself because that's what society wants me to be? And you start to see that dynamic going on. But then the dad comes in and just shuts it the fuck down, which is something else that Kanye talked about on 107.5, that you need family. That if you, the larger what you're trying to achieve, or the greater the aim that you have, the more support that you need. And one of the reasons Kim has been so successful is because she has family. One of the reasons that Kanye has struggled, and he admits this, is that he hasn't had the people around him that he's needed around him, that keep him in check, that help him, that like better him as a person, that help him through these stressful times. And you need that dynamic. When you're a kid, you need somebody that's going to protect you from all of that shit, instead of the people that are just going to try to make you feel like shit. And we see all of that play out in a 54-second clip between Venus Williams, this interviewer, and her dad. It's such a pure example of what Kanye's been talking about. And it's so subtle, too. Like, that interview, you could think nothing of it, but it could also be this huge thing for her, because it's just this little moment that tips her closer towards losing her confidence. But yo, girl did not lose her confidence. She's one of the greatest tennis players of all time. And she's that way because of being confident and not letting people tell her what's up. I love my brother Joe and his new store, Invitation by Donda. I feel like the Donda creative agency is still a mystery to a lot of people, but it's a mystery to me. This is one of the things that they do, creating this advertisement for Fancy, the app in the middle, which just uses the recognizable iPhone app and iPhone background to show the event, when and where. It was Michael Jackson's birthday on the 29th, and here Kanye is playing Never Can Say Goodbye a cappella version, which was a Jackson 5 song. And this song comes up later with Kanye in the studio with Chance the Rapper. It seems that Kanye is in Chicago specifically to work on Chance's 7-song project. And we know that it's happening. Chance has talked about it. Kanye's talked about it. Others who are there have talked about it. So this shit is going to happen. I'm pumped. Michael, we love you. The 107.5 interview. Kanye shared this text message from Caitlyn Jenner of Caitlyn's girlfriend wearing Yeezy clothing. And Caitlyn just saying that we love your looks. Sophia wore this. Thanks again. And Kanye, which you can't see, says, so awesome. You're welcome. And this is a little relevant if you're into the behind the scenes family drama. Caitlyn had a little bit of a falling out with the Kardashians during the transition. It was a tough time for the family, but they were trying to, everybody wanted it to be good. And Kanye was kind of instrumental in helping Kim deal with kind of the shock and confusion that she was feeling, and being more inclined to accept everything that was going on with Caitlyn's transition. But the next thing happened where Caitlyn released a book a couple years back, and talk some shit about Kim's dad. And Kim just wasn't having any of that. So in the wake of that book coming out, a lot of the Kardashians haven't really been talking to Caitlyn. And there's kind of been a cold war going on there. And there's speculation that Kanye has continued to have positive interactions with Caitlyn and maybe trying to mend fences a little bit the way that he had the first time around. Feels good to be home. Kanye, I don't know who he's with, and I should have looked it up. I don't know if it's just with people in the studio. As you can see, the outfits are the same. If it was during one of the radio tours. If you know, please let me know in the comments below. This is the video of Kanye and Chance, with Kanye chopping up the Jackson 5 song, and it's pretty fucking awesome. It's gonna be good. I love this move that Kanye does. Oh no, what is it? It's going back. It's like a swim move. Yeah, I need to add that to my repertoire. And this is someone in the car with Kanye kind of waxing philosophical on economics. And then this is Kanye memeing again. Somebody made this Photoshop of Kanye in 2 big Yeezy slides. And then Kanye tweeted the photo. Ah, shit, you can't see the photo. Does that work? Can I zoom out? Yeah. Of the 2 big Yeezy slides. It might be my favorite Kanye photo. Just like basic mirror pose and the huge slides. That's amazing. Then he tweeted the Power92 interview and then just a picture of him and Kim, as I zoom out again, with the 2 big slides on still. So fucking funny to me. And then 1 new tweet. So he tweeted since we've been talking. Yeah, those things are fucking awesome too. Man, I would wear those all the time. I'd go to Chipotle, I'd be wearing those. I'm gonna go to my wedding and I'd be wearing those. Oh, that'd be so nice. All right, so let's try to speed through the articles. Oh God. That was that. Kanye West shares friendly text from Caitlyn Jenner and Family Feud. If you want some context, Peter has some in this article. What Kanye West can teach us about apologizing. Christian A. Johnson writes this article that takes Kanye's apology from the 107.5 interview and talks to Susan Heitler, psychologist and author of From Conflict to Resolution, Skills and Strategies for Individual, Couple, and Family Therapy. And it talks about what an effective apology is and why and how. So if you want some information on how to apologize and to put that in context of not just how Kanye apologized, but how you've apologized to other people, how others have apologized to you, this is an article that you can learn from and grow from as a person. Kanye West hits a studio in Chicago to record with Chance the Rapper. If you want a little bit more context to what's going on with everything, this article has a few more images and details. Kanye West is 100% serious about being president, apologizes for slavery comment, says this about Trump. 2Fab recapping the 92 Power interview, or Power 92 interview. So if you don't want to listen to the full hour, but want the highlights, you can read it here. Slavery comments, Donald Trump, presidential run. That's that. Kanye West's Ecstasy is now on streaming services. So the song that was supposed to be on Ye and now is just the single that everybody's demonizing as being disgusting is available for everybody to listen to. On site, Kanye West rocks $370 sunglasses from Prada's women collection. So Prada, not Gucci. Okay. Maybe this will explain what Mukia? Ah, okay. Oh, damn. Man, that shows just how fucking, like, uncultured I am. It's Prada's first name. I just always heard Prada. I didn't know that there was a first name that's Miuccia or whatever it is. Miuccia Prada. Fuck. Man. I hope anybody that heard me be so ignorant in the first part of this video gets to see me realize my ignorance now. Fucking hell. Wow. Okay. But they're women's shades, and you know, Kanye talked a lot about just trying things, and over the last couple months, you know, just try it, just see how it feels. And I thought about killing you. He talks about it in the 107.5 interview that, you know, he's learning, he's trying things, seeing what happens in response. He talked in the Power92 interview about everybody wants you to pick a side, red or blue, that it's some like Crips and Bloods kind of shit, not just with politics, but in the world at large. And that he doesn't want to have to just be one thing. He doesn't want this monolithic thought. And as much as he's doing that with politics and with race, we also see that he might be doing it not just as a joke, but seriously in fashion, to where these glasses are women's and Kanye's trying them just to see, you know, how does this look? What do I think of this? Can I rock this? Do I like this? I think that's cool. It also reminds me of the Gurren Lagann sunglasses. And not quite. I mean, these are way more dramatic, but just the color and how they cover the eyes. John Monopoly and Scooter Braun co-managing Kanye West again. So Kanye has had 3 managers, as far as I know. John Monopoly for the first decade, and then Izzy Zivkovic for a long while, and then Izzy and Scooter Braun co-managed Kanye until Kanye released Izzy and then released Scooter. So now he's joining the old and new by bringing together Monopoly and Braun as managers. And this follows in the wake of Kanye saying, I no longer have a manager, I cannot be managed, or I can't be managed. I think he even went so far to say that he'll never have a manager again. And I think this just goes back to kind of the ramped up states versus him realizing that he needs people to help him. And that while he could try to do everything on his own, and he has this genius, it's also okay to bring other people in. I'm so sorry if he keeps meowing. It's something that he likes to do. Amber Rose says she convinced Kanye West to put Nicki Minaj on Monster. So if you want some details on that, there's that article. Kanye West just tweeted out life lessons from the fake Warren Buffett account blowing up on Twitter. You can find more details about that. Meet the artist who painted the Kardashians for Kanye West's Ecstasy. So it's Shadi Al-Atala, a 23-year-old London-based artist who just got out of art school. So this is kind of a mini interview where she talks about the shock of Kanye's team reaching out to her for the official art for Ecstasy, which you can see here. And there's not a good comparison in this article of the image, the original image, to this image. I should try to find that. But I like what she did. It reminds me of, oh fuck, I'm forgetting his name now. The guy I was just gushing about, Marshall, Kerry James Marshall. Kind of that flat background style, a little disorienting in terms of how it takes something that's familiar but makes it a bit more strange. And then some eye contact, but that's mostly because this was a photograph and they were looking at the camera. So you can find out some information on that. New book uses Kanye West logic to teach financial freedom, which I'm very curious about how this is, because the person, I'm Cash, I think the person's name Cash. Yeah, Cash. Cash says, I wrote the book because his message is too important not to take heed to. As JC said, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just like most people, when I would heard sound bites or read headlines of what Kanye was saying, I would be like, he's bugging. But when I actually looked deeper into his message, I realized that Kanye wasn't wrong. When he finally released Yay and it was clear he was an advocate for mental health, I knew that was a message that needed to be heard. Many people had become emotional over some of his antics and had turned a blind eye to anything he had to say. The primary focus of the book is teaching readers how to obtain financial freedom, peace, love, and happiness while avoiding societal pressures. In essence, mental health and money. It illustrates how many of Ye's thoughts coincide with spiritual law and breaks down how to use these laws to live a well-balanced life, regardless of economic status. That all sounds great. I just think the cover's pretty disturbing. I just don't like the cover. Like, aesthetically, I don't like it. Ash Cash. But I also just don't like the implications of it with what's being said. I don't know. Weird. But I want to read the book. We'll see if I have time to read the book. Oh, God, there's so much more. We'll go through it fast. John Legend talked briefly about his friendship with Kanye and kind of the tiff he had with Kanye over the text message things. There's not anything too insightful, but if you want to check it out, it's this second video. Kanye West pays tribute to artist Kerry James Marshall for his amazing work. See the post. If you just want a little bit more detail on Kerry James Marshall, this article will have that. Trippie Redd told Kanye West to donate $30 million to build a Chicago hospital. That's essentially it. But Trippie Redd was giving an interview and was just like, yo, Kanye, build a hospital in Chicago. There's only one, and that you can go after you get shot. So if you get shot 40 minutes away from the hospital, you got to go 40 minutes, which kind of sucks. Chicago's a better city than Cleveland. I think most people would agree to that. But one of the big things that Cleveland has is this great healthcare industry with all the hospitals that are around, all the medicine that's around, which is really going a long way to help revitalize Cleveland. I think that's a great thing for every city to have. As somebody that lived in Cleveland for 4 years and got to see the impact that it had, not just on the economy, but for, I don't know, just the health of the city in such a bleak period. With as amazing as Chicago is, I would hope that they start to have that. That seems like such a crucial missing thing. So maybe I don't know enough, and maybe Trippie Redd doesn't know enough. But if that's the truth of the situation, that's so fucked up. I hope that gets solved. Kylie Jenner joins Kanye West, Kendall Jenner as new Adidas ambassadors. So the family continues to dominate, and Adidas continues to spread out, not just from athletes, but doing these celebrity branding opportunities, which Kanye was kind of the first most lucrative one that's opened the door for everybody else. Every Kanye West and Kid Cudi collaboration ranked. XXL did this. Scott Glacier. I have such problems with it. Oh, man. And I'm sure there are people that will love this list. I just think it's upsetting. Upsetting. Like, Kids See Ghosts at number 19. Come on, man. Even Ghost Town at 14. I mean, there's not much Cudi in Ghost Town, so I kind of get that. Cudi Montage at 13, like, theme-wise, like, soundscape, all the meaning that's going on in Cudi Montage, to me, that's number 1. That or Reborn. Like, those two are so important. To the point where it's, like, kind of absurd to me that, like, I like Erase Me, but, like, and Guilt Trip, I love Guilt Trip. All the, like, okay, like, those are all, but Make Her Say, that's the one that I'm like, Make Her Say's ahead of Cudi Montage. Make Her Say did not age well. Like, it's still catchy as fuck, but it did not age well. I just listen to it now and I'm like, oh no, oh, ooh, those lyrics, ooh. It's just immature to me, rather than, like, fun. Gorgeous at 3, Welcome to Heartbreak at 2, and Reborn at 1. Even then, like, Cudi's not... I think if you're going to have a Kanye Cudi song and you're ranking the collaborations, the amount of Cudi in the song should matter, shouldn't it? Like, I'm just finding ways that Cudi Montage should be number 2. That's all. What are your rankings, huh? Bobby Brown shares his thoughts on Kanye using photo of Whitney's bathroom. All negative. He hates it. And even seems to imply that he would, long as he stays clear from me, he'll be safe. He'll be okay. Seems to imply violence. For a guy that has a reputation of being physically violent to Whitney, he threatens violence a little too easily. It doesn't look good. Especially it talks about how he denies the allegations of the physical abuse. It just seems ironic to me. And then we're finally at the end. Why Kanye West and Nicki Minaj are hooked on tampering with their finished albums. And this, I just want to say Sam Wolfson wrote a dumb fucking article. And I'm sorry to Sam. I'm sure Sam has written other great things, but this is a dumb fucking thing that Sam wrote. It's just basically, see ya, Felix. It's just basically taking shots at the idea of changing the album. And it oscillates from wanting to explore that artists can now change albums to just kind of joking about it and not understanding why an artist would do it or not do it. It just seems douchey and pointless to the point where it makes me think less of The Guardian, that they would let something like this not just be published, that they would let something like this be published. It's a very pointless article, and me talking about it for so long, I don't know why I'm doing that, but that does it for this 47-minute video. Thank you for watching, subscribing, listening, doing whatever. Our Ghost Town podcast episode comes out on Tuesday, September something or other, 3rd, 4th, 3rd, 4th, 4th, 5th, 4th. Anyway, see you soon.